I'm back from our weekend away and we've got an eviction to talk about. So let's get going. Lots of crazy things have happened. We've had our first shopping budget of the series. We've had our first shopping task of the series. And we also have our first real eviction, unlike the night one disaster. But equally, it wasn't really much of an eviction because of Storm Amy. So either way, we are going to be jumping straight in. I hope you guys are enjoying. Let's get going. So the shopping task this week was actually really fun and exciting. It was one of those ones where it had multiple different groups of people working together. There was nobody in charge benefiting from better treatment than other housemates like we have had in previous series. But this was actually just pure entertainment vibes, and I did really appreciate that. They were split into 4 groups of people. The first group were the molders, the second group were the putter togetherers, and then the third group were the painters, and then the fourth group was like the inspectors. And it made like a really good environment. It made good TV. There was lots of chaos, there was lots of drama surrounding the different groups. I actually thought this was a very good shopping challenge, and if they continue with this kind of vibe for the rest of the shopping challenges, I think it's going to work out better. And I also like the fact that they're not doing a task every single day. They're doing little things that will spice up drama, but it won't necessarily cause a whole 15-minute segment to be dedicated to it. Does that make sense? Whereas this was like, okay, this is the one day of the week where they're doing tasks because they have to for the shopping budget. Cool, let's go. So the first group had to transfer the eye molding formula from person to person using bowls on their head, which was actually really funny. Jenny, Marcus, Sam, and OG Cameron were the people doing this. And I have to say, all of them were absolutely hysterical. The whole thing was frankly quite gross. The liquid was incredibly viscous, gave a very naughty vibe to the whole thing because it looked particularly naughty. But either way, it was super funny. It was super hilarious to watch them all like slipping and sliding around with all this horrible gloopy white liquid. And I have to say, it was highly entertaining. And then the second group had to basically put the eyes together. They were like baked in halves and they had to paste them together with glue or something like that. I think that was Caroline, Zila, oh, I don't remember who else, Tate and somebody else. I can't remember exactly who else was there, but either way, they were having to put the molds together. And again, they did a really good job. Then Tasia got on a little tricycle, and there was a really funny moment where Richard was trying to help her navigate through a tight turning. And then Feshola, Danny, Nancy, and Elsa were painting the eyeballs, but they had to be really exact because the inspectors, who were George and Richard, they were basically inspecting them to be like 100% correct. Now, I was like, this is a little bit ridiculous. Surely, like, they could get away with a little bit. But they managed to make like 12 balls, and apparently only 3 of them were correct. I was like, that's an absolutely ridiculous amount. Surely they did a better job than that. Surely. And if they're going to be so sort of particular about it, maybe they could just give them a little bit of flack. Like, just a little bit of flack. That's all I'm asking for. Just a little bit. That's all I want. But anyway, here's what it is. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an absolutely hysterical, hilarious time. And honestly, yeah, just a really great shopping challenge. So there are talks of an alliance forming in the house. Now, if you're aware of BBUS, you'll know that obviously alliances are a major part of the game. Having people you can trust, having numbers in the game is massive because you decide in the game who leaves, not the public. But in this game, alliances don't really matter. So it seems interesting that they're using that word to describe the wolf pack, which includes Tate, Elsa, Marcus, Nancy, and Cameron B. I think it's an interesting group of people. I mean, so far out of those guys, the guys are far more interesting than the girls. I mean, Nancy every 2 seconds is like, did you guys know I'm Italian? By the way, guys, I'm Italian. Oh, Benevenice. I'm Italian. I don't even know what that was, but it just sounded Italian. And then you've got Elsa, who, I mean, Elsa is just, I don't know how to deal with Elsa. I know that she's this famous TikTok person, but I don't think she makes entertaining TV. I can't lie. So what I don't understand, like, what is her niche on TikTok? Is it like get ready with me videos? Because that seems like all she's good for. Do you know what I mean? There's no entertainment value from her. So yeah, it is interesting, I feel like, but you know what? It is what it is at the end of the day. It's one of those places where friendships do form and they do begin to crop up. And this alliance, I don't feel like is going to change the game in any sort of major way possible. If one of them ends up going on the block, because it's vote to save, they probably could end up going home, because I don't feel like any of them are potentially public favourites, let's just put it that way. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not exactly the best vibe to have like an alliance, but I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing like some people on Twitter are making it out to be. So this is when Big Brother introduced a twist that I was actually a little bit like, ooh, okay, I like this. This is a fun vibe. He introduced a, what's the word for it? Currency to the house called eyes. Yeah, don't, because eyes are, there's a lot of eye imagery this series, and I don't know, it's not for me. I don't like eyes. They're the only part of the human body that really freak me out when things happen to them. But anyway, moving past that, someone was asked to go to the diary room, and Zila decided to go first, which I was like, yeah, perfect, fantastic, okay. And he was told there are 300 eyes up for grabs today, but you, as a whole, decide how they are distributed. You could take them and split them evenly, or you can take what you deem to be your fair share of the work for today. Now, Zila worked out very, very quickly that 20 eyes each was the fair way to split 300 between 15 people, and so he decided to take 20 eyes. But here's where it got kind of crazy, because they then get to pick the next person in, and so on and so forth. And let's just say, some people did not end up with eyes. Now, I've got my notes here, so I'm just going to read them out, the eye distribution. Faishola was up next. She took 30 eyes. Tasia decided to take 50 eyes. Elsa took 20. Marcus and Tate both took 25 each. Richard originally was going to take 130, and then was like, nah, you know what? I feel mean. Let's just take 50. Then OG Cameron took 36. Jenny took 20. Caroline took 4. Nancy took 7. Sam took the remaining 13. So Cameron B, Gani, and George ended up with no eyeballs at all. And I was like, this is a really, really fascinating and entertaining way to really psychologically psych people out. Because Cameron B, George, and Gani are going to sit there and think, well, hang on a minute, why wasn't I chosen to go into that room? That doesn't seem right. What's that all about? And I just find that absolutely hysterical to watch, because when they decided to air out how many each person got in front of everybody, oh my god, the chaos that ensued. Oh my goodness, Gani was fuming, absolutely fuming. And then we had Cameron B was a bit pissed off as well. George was kind of just reveling in the whole like, oh, I get to be the martyr now. Fantastic, because we know he's desperate to be the victim in this whole house. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, either way, great twist. Really excited to see how this turns out. I liked it. Something that I really did not expect from this episode was Jenny's podcast rooms, okay? I'm sorry, but Jenny actually might be my top 3 housemates, because not only does she sit in that bloody room outside with OG Cameron and deliver what are going to be immense podcasts when she leaves the house, but she just has such a way of getting information out of people that I'm sort of like, how on earth do you do this? She had Gani in the room, and Gani was telling her about how he married his cousin and has a 10-year-old child. Not 10-year-old, 10-month-old, sorry, child. And I was like, huh? What? How have you been in this house now 6 days, and you've neglected to tell us any of this? I did not think you were married. I did not think you'd married your cousin. And I also did not think that you had a 10-year-old child at home with you. What is going on? And then he was talking about how, like, he just lives as he is. And then Jenny was like, but do you love your wife? And he's like, no, I really love my wife. I love my family. And I was like, oh, okay. I have not gotten that impression so far, mate. I've not gotten that impression. But you know what? Big up, fair and valid. Yeah, chill. And then she was having a conversation with Zila, and this was also with Gani as well, and Zila was just talking about how he transitioned and things like that, and I was like, wow, this is a really important conversation to be having on national television. And once again, Jenny is the one who is hosting this debate. Do you know what I mean? Or not even debate, but this conversation. And she's just such a fascinating person to have in this conversation. It's just, yeah, wow, what a person. What an absolute icon of the show. Do you know what I mean? And then moving on, she also had a conversation with Elsa, which will make more sense once I've spoken about Marcus and Elsa. But she basically made Elsa realize, like, hey, you said XYZ to him, he said XYZ, and now he's done this because he thinks that you think this. And Elsa's like, whoa. So not only is she a podcast host, not only is she great at hosting a conversation, but she's also great as a therapist as well and giving people good advice. What can't this woman do? So Marcus and Elsa are pretty much finished already. Honestly, if I had to lock in for 7 weeks of backwards and forwards bullshit from these two, I don't think I could be bothered. I really don't think I could. I think it would have been really, really boring to watch. And as much as I was like, oh, okay, cheeky little flirt mance, it got too heavy too quickly for it to be cute. And I was like, how is it already over when, like, we only saw a glimpse of it, like, 2 days ago? I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, there was just a lot going on with them, and I didn't really appreciate any of it. I mean, Elsa just seems like she's had horrendous relationships in the past, and that's really impacted how she views relationships, how she has attachment anxiety and things like that, and how she can't effectively communicate with people without it being some kind of code for something else. Do you know what I mean? Like, she said something, Marcus interpreted it one way, and then she interpreted his misinterpretation in another way, and it was just so confusing to sit there and be like, hey, you guys just need to actually talk a little bit clearer. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think I can blame too much of it on Elsa because, like I said, there's clearly trauma from past relationships that have really screwed up the wiring in her brain when it comes to forming new relationships. But equally, when somebody gives you good advice like Jenny did, I think you need to take it on board and you need to not ignore it, is the word I would use. I think George is a plant. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say it. I thought Richard was the plant. I think George is the plant. There's been a lot of sort of stuff online about how he's an actor. He's been an extra in loads of things. He was an extra in Heartstopper. He apparently was in like a bussin' advert for, I don't know, Stagecoach or something. I don't know. It was fucking dreadful and it was making me want to claw my eyes out at how awkward and clunky it was. But either way, I think he's been brought into this house as a paid actor to really rile the house up in terms of presenting an opposing view, okay? Because we lost Emily in like the first day, I think they said to George going in, hey, we need this kind of view in the house. We will pay you X amount in order to just go out and do this, because I cannot believe that every single conversation on politics, on life, on everything, he has the opposing view on. Do you know what I mean? He has the Daily Mail comment section, the Twitter incels comment section, like conversation starters, and it's starting to piss me off a little bit. There was a conversation about refugees and he just spouted off all of the random bullshit. Oh, they get driving lessons for free. Oh, they get this for free. And Zila was like, no, they don't. They get this amount a week, and if the accommodation that they're in has food provided for them, they get X amount a week. I think it was something like £45 a week, and then £9.95 a week if they don't. And I was like, I don't understand how George can always have that just opposite view to whatever the conversation is happening in the house. Because then he told us that he's never had a first kiss, he's never like slept with anybody. And I was like, I'm not surprised. If this is genuinely you, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Maybe the only person that will touch you is Emily. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, it is what it is. I don't want to judge him too harshly because, again, I feel like he's playing a game. He's trying to be controversial rather than actively being controversial. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I just don't trust him that much. I just don't trust him enough to say that this is genuinely who he is, because I don't believe it is who he is. Okay, I just don't believe it is. But yeah, it is unfortunate and it is a shame that we've got someone like that on our screens. As much as he is causing drama and somewhat making other people look good, I just don't know how I feel about him. So the shopping budget was, of course, a chaotic time. They had £400 to share between 15 people, which is absolutely mental. I didn't think that it was going to go down well. And you know what? They actually severely under budgeted themselves. So Zila was just in the diary room going, oh, add this, add this, add this. And then Big Brother was like, oh, you spent £400 and 2p. Remove something now. I was like, oh, surely you can spot on the 2p, bestie. I'll spot on it. I'll send it to wherever you're at. I'll send it to... It's not Garden Studios anymore, is it? It's somewhere else. But anyway, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the 2p. Just let him have that extra bag of rice. But either way, it was a really, really funny moment. And I love when Big Brother is really tough on the rules of the shopping budget, because it just makes it so much more interesting. So you might have been wondering, what were the eyes for that they got in the previous episode? Well, they have opened up the ideal market. And I have to say, I think this is a really, really good addition to the show. Not only do they get to go in there and spend the eyes that they have earned, but I have a feeling that later down the line, they are going to be able to buy things like killer nominations. They're going to be able to buy things like immunity for the week if they have 100 eyes, for example. I think that they need to sort out the pricing a little bit. I felt like the pricing was too cheap for the amount of eyeballs that people had. Like, Richard has 50, Tasia had 50, and she was able to get like 3 quite good things. She was able to get a takeaway for 4 people, pamper. No, she didn't get a pamper set. She got, I can't remember what she got for Sam and somebody else. And then she got a bottle of something. I can't remember exactly what she got. But either way, she was able to get a lot with her money. And I was like, I would have probably had the takeaway be like 40 eyes. Because 40, 10 each makes sense to me. But either way, I think that the ideal supermarket will be a nice season-long addition. It's nice that they've introduced some kind of currency that makes these tasks worthwhile. Does that make sense? It doesn't just make them a waste of time. It means that they are actually going to want to compete in them in order to earn eyes and actually make a difference in the game with their eyes. Does that make sense? I think we need to make more of a big deal out of it. And hopefully, moving forward with the tasks, there will be options to earn eyes within them. But if there's not, and this is just a 1 week thing, then, you know what, so be it. It is what it is at the end of the day. So, we're at the first eviction of the series, and I have to say, it was a sad one. We had Zila up against Gani, and I just wasn't prepared to say goodbye to either of them. But then again, who am I prepared to say goodbye to on eviction night in the first week? Do you know what I mean? I'm not prepared to say goodbye to many people. So either way, Gani was the one who did get evicted and didn't even get to greet the audience outside because it was cancelled. He was kind of taken through the back door by Will and then landed up in the Late in Life studio with everyone cheering him on. So I thought, you know what? Good on him. I'm glad that he was on the show. He was a very, very big positive presence. It would have been interesting to see what kind of drama he could have caused throughout his time in the house if he had stayed in there. I still think the week 1 nominations this week were a little bit unfair. I still feel like there should have been usual nominations as well as those 2 killer nominations to have 4 people up for eviction. But equally, it is what it is at the end of the day. There's not really much we can do. And yeah, it is what it is. I don't really know what else to say. He found out that the 4 people who nominated him with a killer nomination did it on their own volition. without any backing from the rest of the house. Apparently OG Cameron was the only person who mentioned his name when doing the interviews. So really, Ganny just got unlucky by the fact that the 4 people picking just didn't rate him that much. It wasn't even a group decision. It wasn't even the group consensus. It was just those 4 people going, nah, let's put Ganny up. So here's what it is. Sad times for him. I found his exit interview to be a little bit dull. I don't know. At this point in the series, there's not much to talk about in an exit interview. There's like nothing to talk about. So having it be so long but with nothing to talk about is a bit boring. And I always enjoy the ones where they interview controversial housemates and the ones that have had moments of controversy, or the ones who are absolutely brilliant but had a really big feud with somebody in the house, and you get all the juicy gossip. But Ganny didn't really have any of that, so it was just kind of like half an hour of, no, it wasn't even half an hour, it's 10 minutes. 10 minutes of him just waffling about Caroline and how much he loved Caroline. A lot of people seem to think that Caroline hated Ganny and was really nasty to him, but I think that was just her banter, her vibe, her joke, and I got that from her, and I got that from his reactions to her joking. Like, he was very much like, shut the fuck up, like, shut up, you shut your mouth, and things like that back to her. But I just don't feel like that was negative on her part. But anyway, Ganny, we're going to miss you. You're a fantastic person to have in the house. Really enjoyed you, mate. But unfortunately, you are the second person evicted from the Big Brother house. So please pack your stuff and head out the door. But that is all we've got time for you today, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff that you guys do so unbelievably well. And I'll see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. But until then, make sure to keep on ranting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now. See ya.